Hey guys, welcome back, Digital Gate Studios. We got Basil back in the house.
I'm back.
What do you got for us today?
I've got my first foray into a new color.
Ooh.
I'm into blue for the first time. A deck that I think is really strong.
Yeah.
A deck that doesn't quite have the results yet, but I think give it time in this format and it will.
Deck that you destroyed me with, that's for sure.
It's MirageGaogamon.
Yeah.
We got the new top end, the burst mode, just like the other three, and so put something together around it. It was a tricky deck to build.
Yeah.
Not a lot of obvious choices, and I think we'll just get right into it. Start off with the level 4s. We've got 4 Wanyamon. I don't think anyone's really debating that. The draw egg is perfect. We play a lot of Tamers in the deck, obviously. And you don't really need a 5th egg. You're never going to 5 eggs in this deck.
Yeah.
You really only need about 2. But drawing a card when you swing with a blue Tamer is perfectly fine by me.
Yep.
We'll move into the rookies. We've got 4 Gaomon from BT11. This is the first, when the deck sort of first started to get popular.
Yep.
This was the searcher for the deck. Reveals top 3, grabs a Gaogamon. Doesn't grab itself. It doesn't grab a Gaomon rookie.
Yeah.
Level 4 and up, and any blue Tamer, and trashes the rest.
Yeah.
Which I think is pretty weird.
Yeah, it's interesting for blue.
Yeah, there's no synergy out of the graveyard with this card, but it does trash the rest, so keep that in mind. And then the inheritable bounces a level 3 when attacking if you have a blue Tamer. Does come up because floodgates.
Yeah, that's pretty strong.
Floodgates are problematic for this deck on your big burst mode turn. Our next level 3 is the EX4 Gaomon.
Even more of them. Let's go.
Yeah, this is on play draw. Both players draw 1.
Yeah.
The strategy of this deck really revolves around cards not only in your hand, but also in your opponent's hand. And I think part of the skill expression with this deck is monitoring when your opponent is fine for them to have a lot of cards in the hand versus when it's not.
Yeah, because if you just blindly give them cards, then they have answers to everything.
Yeah, you can put yourself in a pickle with this card, but it also has the best inheritable in the deck, which is when an effect adds a card to your opponent's hand, gain a memory.
Solid.
And so that's really important in this deck because we're going to need memory for our big combo turn. And a departure from the other lists I've seen with this deck, these are the only Gaomons I'm running in the rookies. The rest I'm running are floodgates.
I don't disagree with that at all. Yeah.
2 Madoki Beta and 1 Syakuman. I like Madoki Beta. I like memory floodgates a lot. I think they're really strong. Everything in this set gains memory. You're never really going to be like, Madoki, darn it.
How many of you watching even knew there was a Madoki variant of the Betamon species before this card game? And how many of you ever messed with that?
And then the Syakuman is a little bit more situational. Reducing Digivolution costs is for your green matchup, your Hunters matchup, those of you who are still playing Jessamon, things like that. Comes up a lot less than the Madoki, but it is enough, I think, for a 1-of.
Okay.
Your other Gaomon option is the new one, the BT13 one. That is when attacking, both players draw 1, and then the inheritable is plus 1 KDP.
Yep.
The 1 KDP is not incredibly relevant in this matchup because if they have a big blocker, we're probably going to bounce it back to their hand.
Yep.
And when we're swinging into security, we're going to either have jamming or we're going to have huge DP thresholds already.
You're going to be just fine. I agree.
So I prefer the floodgates over the BT13 Gaomon.
Yeah.
If you put that in, I wouldn't hold it against you. So now we'll move into the level 4s. We have 4 of the BT13 Gaomon. This one plays a Thomas if you don't have a Thomas.
Yeah.
We're going to be playing Thomases a lot. That's key to the strategy, so having this is really good. It has the inheritable that the BT13 Gaomon I was talking about has, where it's 1 KDP, but we're really playing it for the Thomas effect.
Yeah, in this instance, it's not the focus.
Yeah. Then we'll move into another set of 4 of the EX4 Gaogamon. This one bounces to level 3 and has the same inheritable as the EX4 Gaomon. So when an effect adds a card to your hand, gain 1. Our ideal stack is this Gaomon into this Gaogamon because when we bounce something, we gain 2.
That makes a lot of sense.
So literally, if you don't have a memory setter out, and then you digivolve that Digivolution is only going to be for 1 if it bounces something.
Yeah, that's
so
awesome.
That's going to be a really, really helpful in our strategy. And then only one more level 4. This is the BT11 Gaogamon.
Okay.
The reason I'm only running the Gaogamons here is they're important for our synergy with our Tamers.
Yep.
And other things like that. But also, originally this was Lanamon.
That's what I was going to ask you about. Yeah.
But we'll kind of get into how the combo works once you're into a level 7.
I see.
But basically having a Tamer, it basically, if it's already played where you would hybrid for game, basically its suspension effect is going to be effectively another swing.
Yeah,
so the hybrid really kind of had anti-synergy with the strategy of this deck. So I just went back to this Gaogamon. It's when attacking is not very relevant, and neither is its inheritable, to be honest. It is just called Gaogamon, which is synergizes with our deck. We'll move on to the level 5s now. We have 4 of the EX4 Mach Gaogamon. This bounces a level 4, and then when attacking, if your opponent has 8 or more cards in their hand, unsuspend.
So nice.
I think that you could reasonably go down to 3 and then go to 4 on our next Mach Gaogamon we're going to talk about. But I personally like this Mach Gaogamon a lot because if I go turn 1, Gaomon into Gaogamon, and then my opponent goes, they're playing Belphemon, and they go Gizmon into Gizmon, then I can go into this Gaogamon and bounce their Gizmon, and they don't get to go into the next level, and if that makes sense.
That makes a lot of sense.
So I think this is really good for our Belphemon matchup. This is good for if they go Searcher Agumon into Geogray to play a Marcus, and then bounce it back to the hand, something like that. I think bouncing level 4s is really strong in this format. So I went to 4 of this one, and then just 3 of the BT11 Mach Gaogamon.
Makes a lot of sense to me.
This is the one that gives additional DP and blocker on Digivolve. And I don't really think of this deck as one that needs to block.
Okay.
It basically is, it's just going to hit your security a bunch of times, and then that's what it's going to do. So anytime I was going into this in raising, just because I need a level 5 in raising for next turn. Yeah, you just
starting set up.
And then the blocker does come up occasionally, but I think bouncing a level 4 comes up more often. If you reverse these two, I could see it. This is just what I'm rolling with, and it makes the most sense to me. We'll move into our level 6s. We've got 4 of the MirageGaogamon from BT11.
Very nice.
This is the best Gaogamon, or the best Mirage, and it was strong in BT11, but it just was missing something.
Yeah.
And it was one of the first things that you just added a security to hand. It wasn't necessarily burning it, it was adding it to hand. And another thing to note about this card is it's also all turns. So if you are in this and you don't, this isn't necessarily a burst mode turn, you just go into it and then pass the turn. If they play a Searcher, if they draw a card by their egg, if they play a black memory boost or a memory boost of any kind, that is going to pass over their turn a lot of the times. So keep that in mind, that this card is not just your turn, it's all turns. And we need one more MirageGaogamon just for posterity's sake. And we have the new BT13 one. The evade doesn't come up all too often these days. Not a lot of kill options. It's good for Belphemon matchup or other like Beelzemon or other purple decks, stuff like that. And then it also bounces a Tamer, which does come up a lot because obviously there's a lot of Tamers running around these days. And then anytime a card is added to your opponent's hand, play a Thomas. So you can bounce one of their Tamers, play a Thomas, and this is another all turns effect. So if you go into this and they add a card to their hand, boom, another Thomas hits the floor. So that's another thing to consider. If we could play 5 of this one, we would.
It's like, I have that same thing with the Ravemon, right? Where it's like, if I could play 5 of the EX4 one, that's what I would play.
Yeah, but this one's good enough. Then we've got our new top end. 3 of the burst mode.
This is my favorite edition.
Yeah.
Because I am a big MirageGaogamon burst mode fan.
So we need to talk about this card a little bit because it is not actually a very intuitive card to use, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it has when Digivolving, bounce anything. So bounce a Death X, bounce, bounce anything. Has to be a Digimon, of course. And then it has the same effect as the Mirage, where for every 4 in your opponent's hand, gain 1. So you're going to go into this and then into this, and you find yourself at 6-7 memory a lot of the times.
That's awesome.
And then it's when attacking it's not reveal your opponent's hand, but pick cards at random until they have 8 cards left, and then trash those and unsuspend.
That's so interesting.
So basically the way that this deck works is that every way you have to get another card in your opponent's hand, it's another swing. So you go into burst mode, trash until they have 8, swing, unsuspend.
Yep.
Then Gaomon, add a card to your opponent's hand, swing, they trash 1 more, unsuspend.
Yeah.
So basically any way you can get a card in your opponent's hand is another another check at 15,000. So let's talk about ways to get cards in your opponent's hand. We've got 3 of the Memory Setter Thomas.
Yeah.
This is the setter, obviously, and then on swing, if it's a Gaomon or Gaogamon, so it does work with the rookies, both players draw a card.
That's pretty nice.
So this is another way to proc your burst mode. This is another way to get cards in your hand for your Mirage, or to proc your level 4 or EX4, level 3 and level 4.
Again, that nice memory.
They're both very good. And putting cards in your hand is obviously good. And then something I was not expecting when I first put this deck together was 4 of the old Thomas.
Yeah, I know that card.
This is a shout out for everyone who invested in box Thomases when they were 2 pennies.
When they were
now they certainly are not.
You could pay people to. You'd have to pay people to take that card in the old days.
I don't think anyone anticipated this card being this good.
Yeah.
Because on play, draw a card, which seems fine.
Yep.
And then if your opponent has 8 or more in hand, you can suspend it to unsuspend. So this is another swing with the burst mode. You can suspend it to unsuspend. And when you burst Digivolve, you can use this one and then just play it right back for 3. So this actually turns out to be a lot of damage in a way that you really wouldn't expect it to be. We do have one more blue Tamer.
Just
the Soul Nikolai.
Just one, huh?
Just one. The reason it's good is because it has the same effect as the EX4, Gaomon, and Gaogamon. So adding a card to your opponent's hand and gain 1 is perfectly well and good. The jamming comes up in a few ways. The first is that a lot of people are playing burst mode decks.
Yeah.
And all the burst modes have 15k.
Yeah.
So when you're swinging with your 15k, you can hit that and go that way. Additionally, Shine Gray is going to DP minus your burst mode on your turn, and then whatever. So the jamming does come up in a few instances. Royal Knights have some big bodies.
Absolutely.
Similarly, there's going to be a lot of instances where you want to swing with your Mirage before you burst because you proc your Thomas and then burst it, and that's a way to get another damage. So the jamming comes up in that instance as well. So Nikolai is a little more situational. We have no way to play him for free because the Gaogamon specifically says Thomas. But gain a memory and jamming is not so bad. Now, if you're a loyal Digital Gate Studios fan, you know what this card is going to be. Not 1, not 2, not 3, 4 Sorai.
Let's go.
This was my card of the week on the podcast a little bit ago.
Absolutely.
This card is ridiculous. There is a lot of stuff swinging without sources in the game right now. That's Belphemon, that's Marcus Damon, that's Royal Knights, and stripping inheritables screws a lot of people up because the inheritables in BT13 are completely ridiculous.
Yeah.
So that's stripping the level 5s and lower from Alphamon. That's stripping all of your sources on Rosemon or Bloomlord. There's so many good inheritables right now, and stopping that, and then stopping your Searcher from swinging, stopping Sistermons from swinging. It's stopping Gizmons from swinging.
There's a lot
to like about
it is so
Sora
good.
right now.
Yeah.
Every time I was testing with this deck, I was like, okay, 1, perfect. Yeah. Well, maybe I'll put in 2, and it just was like,
it just kept going up.
I wish not only am I seeing this more, I wish I was seeing this multiple times a game.
Yeah.
It's a very, very good card. Then we've got 2 Hammer Spark. I went away from the Blue Memory Boost because any turn I would normally play Blue Memory Boost. I would rather just play a Thomas or a
that makes a lot of sense.
as well as using blue memory boost to search, is going to bottom deck those Tamers.
Yeah, and you kind of rely on them in this deck.
Right. And then it's perfectly fine out of security. It's better than blue memory boost out of security.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Because you don't really need that memory to do your combo.
Yeah.
Because you're gaining so much with the level 6, the inheritables on the 4 and 3,
Yep.
with the Nikolai. You don't really need that setup with the blue boost. So I opt for Hammer Spark. And then if you are missing that one memory, you draw a bunch in this deck, so you are gonna find one of these.
You're gonna find
and
one,
then you get to that memory threshold. And then one card left in the deck.
I think I know what it is. There it is.
Yeah, I think this would be 3 Ice Wall and 4 Sorai, or one way or the other. But
Yep.
1 Ice Wall is plenty.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
If you're, I just need to live one more turn, and then you Ice Wall Sorai.
It's just like, what can you do about it?
You're gonna see another turn.
Yeah. I love it, man.
That's the deck.
Yeah, I think if I wasn't biased to the Ravemon stuff, this would be my favorite burst mode, because I love the design of MirageGaogamon. I love the synergy. I like how there's 2 unique Tamers for the Gaogamon line. That's pretty cool to me. So awesome deck, man. Thank you so much for sharing.
And it wouldn't be a Basil deck profile if I didn't point out that this is Ultimate Cup ready.
It is.
Stands.
Yes,
No
you're right.
changes.
You're right.
Mono blue.
Yeah. Don't put in Blitz Omni.
Don't put in Blitz Omni.
I don't think you need it. No, man. Thank you so much for sharing. And if you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, subscribe. Everybody give it up for Basil in the comments, and we will definitely be seeing you next time. Thank you so much.